Well, hey everybody, it's Hank Linderman. We're having some fun. Well, what a day. What a day. Just in case you all don't know, I'm sharing this from the campaign page today. So that's on Facebook, hank4ky.com. If you're going to my regular page, we're still working out the kinks. I think I've got it showing up there, but better to look for Hank for Kentucky on Facebook, and that's how we'll be sharing. Anyway, I'm glad you're all here. Barbara is here. All right. So one of us made it. 10 of us made it. And of course, we're going to ask you to share. We know what that sound means. Big news, big news. I've got to share some really big news. We ordered some signs a while back, and they showed up. And I'm going to go pick some up tomorrow. You want to see what they look like? There they are. That's one of the signs that's been taken out of the box, and it's sitting on top of a stack of boxes. So I'm very excited about that. So the signs, I'll be taking them first thing. I think the first place I'm going is Danville, and then I'll figure out where I'm going to go. I'm going to load my vehicle up and just go for it. So signs are in. Very, very exciting. Lots of news today. And the day is going to come when we have good news. Everybody, at least I'm hoping so. I'm trying to keep a smile on my face, but, you know, we have to really focus on the idea that the work we do today is going to make a difference down the road. You know, the way we say this is we have to plant seeds that are going to help trees grow. We're going to grow trees that we may never enjoy the shade of. We're never going to enjoy the shade of the tree that the seeds that we're planting today, but we still have to do it. And I don't have much choice. I need to do it. I'm kind of stuck on this, and I'm actually enjoying every bit of it. So thank you all for being here. Let's do our work. Here it comes, these gruesome numbers. Here we are in the USA. Once again, over 1,000 deaths. We're going to cross into 180,000 deaths, I would bet, by Monday, maybe sooner. Notice we had 45,000 new cases, so we don't have it under control. At best, we've got kind of a plateau going on, but we don't have this virus under control, of course, because we haven't gone Godzilla. We haven't done it yet, and that's what it's going to take. You know, I don't know any other way to do it. Moving on. Here's the states. California, again, still number one with the most amount of new cases. Most amount of deaths, though, in Texas. And, of course, this is what we expect because we haven't gotten control of this yet. We just haven't gotten control of it. And we've got some bad news in Kentucky. Kentucky also appears to be rising. We had been seeing 8, 10, 12 deaths. We're up to 14. More cases. There was not long ago that 700 new cases would have been the second most amount of cases in one day. I think we had one day in Kentucky that was around 1,000 or a little bit more, but we have not got it under control, and we know that part of this is due to people not wanting to wear masks, and I understand some of it, but I've gotten a really disturbing bit of information, which is that there are even some churches that encourage their parishioners not to wear masks. You know what? I'm going to back off of that. I don't know for sure that it's churches, but it's people who are involved with a certain church, and they have gotten advice from an attorney to say, I have such and such a medical condition, so you can't require me to wear a mask. And sure enough, when they show up at Walmart, for example, Walmart's got big signs up. The national company said, no coming in unless you've got a face covering, unless you're covering your mouth and your nose. But they told me, as I went and visited them, they said the folks working on the line there, they can't prevent anyone from doing it. So people come in and they say, well, I'm within my rights because I have asthma. whether they have asthma or not. So this is why this continues. This is why it will take a long, long time. It's why the United States, with only 5% of the people, has 25% of the cases. Very frustrating, at least to me. Now, our big story continues about the post office. Here's one of the headlines from today from the Courier-Journal. We're going to focus a bit on the Courier-Journal today. Rand Paul is calling for the post office to significantly reform. Let's see. Let's see if I've got the story here. I actually do. Look at this. I've got my papers already. Rand Paul, U.S. Senator Rand Paul, is not in favor of providing additional funding to the U.S. Postal Service, saying recently that the agency is not redeemable. Presumably, Rand Paul thinks he's redeemable. The Democratic-controlled House of Representatives is set to vote on legislation that would give $25 billion over to the cash-strapped organization. Kentucky's junior senator told Fox News on Wednesday he's against this legislation. Quote, anybody who wants to give money to the post office, you might as well put it into a big pile on your front lawn and burn it, end quote. You know, I think there are a lot of public programs you could say, well, all we did there was burn a bunch of money, and I'm thinking that the war in Iraq might be one of them. The war in Iraq, which we don't know exactly how much it cost. We don't know if it was $3 trillion, $15 trillion. We don't really, $6 trillion. We don't know. But it sure didn't end terrorism. We are still involved in Iraq. We are still involved in Afghanistan. I think Afghanistan is the longest conflict in the history of the United States. We've done a major troop pullout in Iraq, but we are still involved there. And where did the money go? What was that done for? Anyway, so you might as well put it in a big pile on your front lawn and burn it. Maybe that's why Rand Paul's neighbor got upset. He was burning money on the front lawn. I digress. The Kentucky Republican pointed out to the Postal Service's labor costs. Well, of course, working people, they're the problem. As a reason the agency is struggling, 76% of the agency's total costs for fiscal year 2018 came from labor costs, according to a 2019 report from the Office of the Inspector General. My guess is because moving pieces of paper around is a labor-intensive business. You know, we don't have robots yet that are going to walk the streets and come to your door and drop mail off and be there when you need them to deliver Christmas gifts and so on. Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. So it's a labor-intensive business. Most of the labor costs incurred by the Postal Service are linked to the Federal Postal Accountability and Enhancement Act passed in 2006. This is very interesting, which requires the agency to make payments towards health benefits for future retirees decades in advance. The Postal Service is designated to be self-sustaining, meaning it receives no tax dollars to cover operations. Now, there's two things to unpack in there. The first is that a lot of times when, especially it seems like when Republicans name things, they name things like, you know, God, Mother, and Apple Pie Act, you know, as if, how could you possibly oppose it? But really what it is some horrible thing to defund public schools or something. Anyway, the Postal Accountability and Enhancement Act, the requirements towards paying towards pensions and health benefits for future retirees, that is something that is not imposed on any other organization in the United States. It's particularly onerous, and it's really put 50 pounds of cement on the backs of the post office. Removing that would make a massive, massive difference. The next thing it says, the Postal Service is designated to be self-sustaining, receives no tax dollars. Right. It's ideally the post office breaks even. That's all it needs to do. But as Congressman Yarmouth said to us on Monday, the post office can't set its own rates. And so while you've got Congress kind of arguing over this, there's no way to get these to get rates to be adjusted. One of the complaints is that, for example, the post office gives Amazon too good a deal. FedEx, you'll notice, no longer carries for Amazon. UPS does, I believe. Now, it might be that the post office gives too good a deal to Amazon? And if so, let's deal with that problem. But let's not say that it's the fault of labor. Let's not be misleading here. It lost the post office between 2007 and 2019, lost roughly $78 billion due to decreased mail volume and increased cost. Again, we've got to dig into these details to find what they mean. Decreased mail volume could be the amount of mail volume, packages and stuff that are being picked up by other private for-profit companies like UPS, like FedEx. That could be affecting the post office's bottom end. There's no way to give any money to the post office. Notice there's no answer other than Senator Rand Paul's answer. That's one way to frame an argument. I have the only answer. And if you disagree with me, you're wrong. Okay? You cannot fix the post office unless you fix their labor problem. Yeah, you could. You could raise prices. You could, get rid of the Republican donor who is now dismantling the post office. The guy whose only contact to the post office before this was probably that he received mail. We're talking about Postmaster General DeJoy, who's a longtime Republican contributor, and he is going after the post office. Labor intensive. Larry Schott says, we requested our ballots today, handed them to our postman at the curb. Labor intensive. Some things it's worth paying for. I think it's worth paying for to have a post office. Not that the post office doesn't need some reforming. Paul says the only way he'd give, like it's his money to give, he'd give any money to the post office, is for the agency to have a hiring freeze, and they would gradually have to lower their employment significantly. Again, this is Senator Paul wanting to hobble the post office, that most American of institutions. And remember, we're concerned about them because of the election. They're messing around with the post office when voting by mail is going to be a significant thing. But they are also doing this before Christmas. This is going to affect the post office's ability to deliver Christmas cards, Christmas gifts. It sounds to me like maybe Senator Paul has started a war against Christmas and Valentine's Day, a war on love. That's actually, Congressman Yarmouth said that. It's a real mistake to give the post office money unless they significantly reform their ways. Now, we can reform their ways. There are ways to reform the post office. And one of them has been brought up by Rich, my brain is going away. Rich Campbell from the group America suggested the idea of using the post office to be the agency to implement rural broadband. And we mentioned that. I mentioned that to Congressman Yarmouth, and he got very interested. So we'll be following that up. 600,000 Americans, yes, work for the post office. You're going to just get rid of, how many jobs should we get rid of, Senator Paul? 100,000? 200,000? Is that how many people you want to lose their jobs? I don't have a lot of patience for this guy. Paul's comments come as the Postal Service has been in the national spotlight in the recent weeks as new Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, a Republican mega donor, and President Donald Trump's supporter, instituted cost-saving measures that have slowed down mail delivery and raised concerns. Some of the stories are that there's livestock, baby chicks and things like that get mailed, and that's a normal way to transfer 300 baby chicks. Because they've slowed down, these animals are dying in the post office. I also saw a story, and I don't have it up here for you, but a congressman in Texas apparently was taken on a tour of a post office that was a big lie. They hid all the mail that they weren't delivering, and fortunately someone inside the post office let him know that they'd been taking advantage, they had taken advantage of him and made him look like a fool by pretending that everything was okay, and it clearly isn't. Let's see. The Postal Service in Louisville had 24 sorting machines before 4 were removed, according to Art Campos, president of the American Postal Workers Union in Louisville. They represent 700 Postal Service workers in the area. I think they're going to have to undo some of the things that DeJoy has done. Push that button. You're right. Barbara is absolutely right. There's another button I keep forgetting to push, but when I'm saying Rand Paul...
Now wait just a damn minute.
Exactly. Senator Paul, wait just a damn minute. Slow down, buddy. Slow your roll. DeJoy is testifying today, but he may have already testified, and that certainly will be enjoyable. Now, there's another story from the Courier-Journal. Let's get a look at that. Here's another way that Senator Paul...
Now wait just a damn minute.
His idea is that we should cut delivery to rural areas. Are you kidding me? He's gonna cut delivery to rural Kentucky. Thank you. So from this story, this is also from the Courier-Journal. Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, suggested, by the way, he's up for election in 2022. I hear rumors that Charles Booker might run against him. And of course, I would support that notion. Barbara Tichy says, what's going to happen to folks who get their meds via mail? Well, Senator Paul thinks that you'll just have to wait. Senator Paul says that the cash-strapped Postal Service should consider reducing the number of days it delivers mail to rural areas to as little as 2 days a week. During a high-profile Senate hearing Friday, Paul said slimming down the frequency of the agency's deliveries would be the easiest way to do this. Quote from Rand Paul. And frankly, people who live 20 miles down a shale road, if you told them they were going to get it twice a week versus 6 times a week, I really think people would live with it. All right. I'm going to agree with Senator Paul. Anyone who lives 20 miles down a shale road, you can cut their service back a little bit. I expect that's a few hundred people maximum. I would prefer we didn't, but let's not use them to justify cutting delivery in Falls of Rough, Kentucky, cutting delivery in Litchfield, cutting delivery if you live just outside of the city. Let's not use the people who live 20 miles at the end of a shale road as justification for that. That's what we call bullshit, BS. I'm going to call it that. He also indicated that it makes sense to him, financially speaking, to reduce the number of employees working for the Postal Service, which has been losing a ton of money for years. The mail keeps dropping. You got to have less employees. As the U.S. House of Representatives prepares to vote on legislation that would give the Postal Service an extra $25 billion, Paul said Congress, quote, shouldn't pass out money like it's candy. I got something to say about that, because passing money out like it's candy is certainly what the federal government did in 2008, 2009, when they bailed out Wall Street, when they bailed out the banks. It's certainly what they did recently when they bailed out billionaires and very large corporations with all sorts of funds to deal with as the economy shut down. They bailed out the wealthy right away. They passed it out like candy. But when it comes time to making sure that the people are covered, suddenly, we've got a problem here. This is a problem. Now, I want to make it very clear. If I were in the House of Representatives, I would absolutely vote to increase spending to pay for the post office. I would want to strengthen the post office. I think the post office maybe does need to be modernized, but it should be built on. It shouldn't be cut back. The real reason Senator Rand Paul, Senator McConnell, Brett Guthrie, the current congressman in the 2nd District, the real reason they want to cut the Postal Service down is so that their friends who are profit-minded, who maybe are at businesses like FedEx or UPS, they would like to take the business that the post office does and privatize it. And if you think that will cut costs, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you. This will not cut costs. It will increase costs. The post office is still a bargain when you're sending anything out. The idea that you can send a postcard to any address in the country for less than $1 is pretty danged amazing. Now, does it need modernization? Of course. Now, I'm going to be back to my regular question. How much courage does it take, Brett Guthrie? How much courage does it take to say you support the post office? How much courage does it take to say you support the oldest institution in the United States of America? I think it's unpatriotic not to support the post office. How much courage does it take to go against President Trump and his plan to privatize the post office? It shouldn't take that much courage. And Brett Guthrie, you're going to have to make a choice soon. You've got to decide, are you going to continue to support this this guy in the White House, I've had people who know you tell me that you must be appalled. You must be appalled, but you better find some courage. You better find the courage to stand up for what you believe is right, regardless of whether it could cost you the election. You need to do the right thing for the people of Kentucky, not just the right thing for you. Now let's talk about handing money out like candy. Brett Guthrie's company, he owns a company in Bowling Green. They apparently got a $4.4 million PPP loan. Brett Guthrie is 25% owner of this company. Now, bear in mind, apparently, Nancy Pelosi's brother is part of a company that got $300,000. And of course, that drove Fox News absolutely berserk. Whatever. It's not like Nancy Pelosi's brother is in the government. Brett Guthrie is an elected official of the government and got more than 10 times the amount Nancy Pelosi's brother's company got. And by the way, I don't know that Nancy Pelosi's brother is an owner. Brett Guthrie is an owner of this company that got $4.4 million. And let's also point out, speaking of handing out money like candy, Brett Guthrie's personal wealth, according to OpenSecrets.org, was about $422,000 when he entered Congress, coming up on 12 years ago. Okay? His net worth now is at least $7.5 million, and we think it may be as high as $11 million. If that's true, he's done even better than Mitch McConnell based on the amount of years. These guys, like Mitch McConnell, like Brett Guthrie, they have gotten wealthy. Meanwhile, the rest of the country, and especially their own state, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, remains mired. We have one of the poorest economies in the country, and these guys have gotten wealthy off of their position. So, yes, Rand Paul, you object to handing out money like candy? Why don't you have a look at that PPP loan that went to Brett Guthrie's company that he is a 25% owner of? What a scandal. And here's the thing, it's probably not illegal. I don't remember who said it. What is the name of Guthrie's company? I believe it's called Trace Tool and Die. Trace Tool and Die. As far as we can tell, this appears to be the largest PPP loan given to any company in the United States with an owner that's currently a government official. Now, possibly there's some Trump hotel or something, but remember, President Trump says he doesn't own those hotels. But there's probably some business, if he would ever open up his tax returns and be honest with them, that you can be sure that that might eclipse the amount of money that Brett Guthrie's company has gotten. You know, Guthrie has really profited by being an acolyte of Mitch McConnell. It is time to send them home. And Brett will be perfectly fine. He'll get a government pension. He's already loaded, as we've heard. He's got plenty of money. And he's going to be fine if he's retired. And this would be a good year to retire Brett Guthrie. So that's why I'm running. I'm asking for your help. Got some other news. And it looks like someone has posted something about a congressman sitting on the board. That might be from Sludge. Pam has posted that. But we have some good news, and this is related to the state of Kentucky. So Kentucky has 6 legislative districts. The 3rd is Louisville, and that's a Democratic district. The 6th is Lexington and Frankfort, and that we hope will become a Democratic district, but the rest have been solidly Republican for a number of years. So the 1st, the 2nd, which is where I'm at, maybe this would be a good time to show you all the map. Let me get that ready. Here it is. So here's the map. The 1st is a rural district. The 2nd is a rural district. The 4th and the 5th are technically rural districts as well, and they are all Republican. Now, for a number of years, there's not been a lot of activity from the National Party helping these districts. And folks in these districts are folks that run as Democrats have been doing it at their own expense and, of course, with help of people locally. But it's been a lonely job. And I think there have been some complaints about that or some realizations that something has to be done. So the Kentucky Democratic Party has recently instituted what they are calling a rural caucus. This is unprecedented, a rural caucus, and I've been invited to be part of that. And our first meeting is coming up, or the first meeting that I'll be part of is coming up September 3rd, and I'm very excited about it. Rural America is more than just farms. It's people who work. It's people who go to school. It's people who are retired. It's people that live around me. You know, I live out here in Falls of Rough in Grayson County, and I love it out here. It's a wonderful place to be. And in fact, let's see if we've still got, I'm not sure if the camera's still working. Yeah, there we go. Look how beautiful this is. Just absolutely love it. And, but we have not really had a voice. And I think this is one of the shortcomings of both parties. Neither party has really paid attention to rural America. And this is why Republicans are able to get away with kind of false populism. President Trump is not a populist. He does not want to come out and hang out in the 2nd District or the 1st or the 4th or the 5th. He does not want to hang out here. He wants to hang out at Mar-a-Lago with wealthy people and famous people. That's who he cares about. He doesn't care about working people. And President Trump, prove me wrong. Come to Falls of Rough, Kentucky. We've got a place we could put you up. It's probably not what you're used to, but it's beautiful here. Back to the point. Rural America has been abandoned, really by both parties. Neither party has done their work here. So I'm determined that Democrats pick up the challenge and do the right thing for rural America, for rural Kentucky. And that's, of course, why we have the contract for rural and working America. Get your copy there. And that's at the website, Hank for KY. Well, I'm running out of time. I'm really not. But I'm running out of things to say. Hard to believe. Thanks for being here. Today is the last day of the week. Tomorrow, I'm going to pick up signs. Let's see if I can get the signs back up on the page. There we go. I'm going to pick up the signs. They've arrived at a delivery point in Louisville, so I'm going to go pick them out and start spreading them around the district. So look, let's focus on what we've got to do. We've got to do the right thing. We want to get angry, and we've got good reason to be angry. But when we get angry, let's not be damn fools. Let's use it to store up our determination. Let's do the right thing. Let's make the changes our country needs to see. And let's go Godzilla. All right. See you on Monday. John McPhee will be here on Monday. One more thing. So hear all that beautiful fiddle work? That's John McPhee. Let me show you a picture of him. So that's John on the right holding the guitar. I'm in the middle, and on the left holding the unusual looking guitar. That's Chris Martin, who's the head of Martin Guitars. John McPhee will be our guest on Monday, so I hope you all will come back for that. Let's go back to Godzilla, get a good look at him. And sorry I did that out of order, but there we go, Godzilla. Thank you all. See you on Monday.